Okay, so Soul just came out, and a lot of people are talking about it in terms of awards. It's a well-received Pixar movie, so naturally it's going to be nominated in the animation categories at most major award shows. And when it comes to the Oscars, Disney knows how to campaign, and I'm pretty confident in its chances to win Best Animated Feature. It's also likely to get Pixar's typical nominations for original score, original screenplay, and original song. But the category on most people's minds is Best Picture. And that's kinda tough. As of this recording, Gold Derby has it in 10th place, which means they think it will just barely not make the cut. And right now that feels right, but in order to understand Soul's precarious position, you need to know the history of animation in Best Picture. The Oscars have had a bias against nominating animated films for Best Picture since the very beginning. None of the classic Disney films were nominated for Best Picture, and there's actually never been a Disney-produced Best Picture winner, animated or otherwise. Like, they tried really hard to get Snow White in there, and even released a special collection of shorts to promote Snow White called Academy Award Review of Walt Disney Cartoons. But that didn't work. Instead, they gave Walt Disney a Special Achievement Oscar, which came with 7 Little Dwarf Oscars, which is super cute, but Walt found it insulting. So, flash forward to the so-called Disney Renaissance period, and The Little Mermaid's response has some wondering why it only got nominated for music awards. So the Academy takes note of this, and 2 years later, when Beauty and the Beast received even greater critical and commercial success, it becomes the first ever animated Best Picture nominee. And then that's where it stops, at least for a while. The reception of these films seems to only be improving, and all of the remaining movies in this era got Oscar nominations, but none for Best Picture. There was some talk among the Academy of establishing a Best Animated Feature category, but they wisely foresaw that this would just become an obligatory Disney category, so they waited until 2001 when the Disney Renaissance was over and they were awkwardly transitioning into computer animation to finally introduce the category. The first award for Best Animated Feature went to Shrek, and just to add insult to injury, Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius was nominated over Disney's Atlantis, which is just embarrassing for everyone involved. Meanwhile, this little animation company called Pixar kept racking up nominations and wins, even outside of Best Animated Feature. So Disney does what any of us would do. They buy Pixar for $7.4 billion and kicks them into overdrive. Immediately, they produce some of their most critically acclaimed films, with Ratatouille and WALL-E, the latter of which breaking the all-time record for the most nominations for an animated film, with 6. And now people are once again asking, where's the animation in Best Picture? The discourse around Pixar and a certain other film ends up getting the Academy to expand Best Picture from 5 to 10 nominees. And as soon as they do that, Pixar gets their first Best Picture nominee with Up in 2010, which is also the first animated nominee since Beauty and the Beast. And the next year, Toy Story 3 gets a Best Picture nomination, and then there hasn't been one since. It seemed like Pixar was on a roll, so what happened? Well, that's gonna require some speculation. Many believe the bias against animated films can be attributed to them having their own category, which makes sense. When it comes to foreign language films, many Oscar voters feel that because they have their own category, it would be unfair for them to compete for Best Picture as well. And it's not hard to see how the same group of voters would apply the same logic to animated films. But that doesn't explain what's been keeping them out of Best Picture before the introduction of the animation category. Maybe Disney just never saw a return on investment for their troubles. Maybe after getting 2 Best Picture nominees in a row, they just felt like their money was best spent on categories they could actually win. Best Picture is the most expensive category to compete in, naturally, which is why the few animated Best Picture nominees have been the ones with Disney bucks. Shrek and How to Train Your Dragon were once considered possible contenders, but they didn't get nominated, so... And most animated films, even the ones that are slam dunk winners of Best Animated Feature, aren't even in the Best Picture conversation. But maybe it's not a coincidence that films targeted at children aren't trying their best to win awards that children don't care about. Perhaps it's the audience for these films. For comparison, take a look at the films nominated for Best Picture alongside Beauty and the Beast. You've got the JFK assassination movie, the serial killer horror movie, the gangster crime movie, and the man with a troubled childhood having sex with his therapist movie. That's like the whole spectrum of films that aren't for children, and Beauty and the Beast sticks out like a sore thumb. Children's films in general just aren't seen as serious enough for the Oscars. And that's what brings us back to Soul, because Soul is different. This film is unusually adult. Its main themes are about finding joy in life and learning to be yourself, which is something that hundreds of children's films have covered, but it's told through the lens of an aging band teacher desperately seeking his big break, and when he gets it, he's not satisfied and he doesn't understand why. It's something that I think most adults can relate to, but I'm not sure it's something kids will really get. They'll laugh when Tina Fey slaps him around, and everyone loves 9 Lives jokes, but I worry that kids might be bored by the end of it. Or maybe I'm underestimating the receptiveness of our youth. If you have kids, let me know what they thought of Soul. I'm genuinely super curious. Soul is also Disney's first straight-to-streaming movie, well, their first one that actually has a chance at the Oscars. The closure of theaters means Disney doesn't get to tout their massive box office returns, which is usually a good way to boost your Oscar credibility. But this puts them on a somewhat more even playing field with their competition, and this year it's basically just Wolfwalkers, an international collaboration and follow-up to the acclaimed Song of the Sea. Disney may have season tickets to Best Animated Feature, but there's still 4 other seats to fill, and sometimes those other movies can actually give Disney a run for its money. And although some people are saying Wolfwalkers could upset Soul for Best Animated Feature, it's telling that absolutely no one thinks Wolfwalkers will be nominated for Best Picture. Honestly, I have no clue whether Soul will be nominated for Best Picture. We have some idea of who the major players are, and only time will tell how things play out. Maybe one of these films will get snubbed and allow Soul to sneak in. Maybe the biases against animated and/or children's films will keep Soul out of the Cool Kids Club. Maybe the critical acclaim and relative maturity will force it in. I don't think we're going to be sure until the moment the Academy announces the nominees. So maybe the best way to acknowledge animation in the film industry right now is to watch the movies. And not just the Disney ones, there are still multiple studios until a few years from now when Disney buys them, so appreciate them for what they are, and live in the moment.